The US will support Ukraine at the peace summit, but will not allow its weapons to hit deep into Russia. ISW explained what is behind the Kremlin's statements about the negotiation conditions. Welcome to 1+1 News. My name is Seidbek Davlatov, and it's a daily update on the military situation in Ukraine. Over the past day, the Ukrainian Defense Forces eliminated and wounded 1,110 Russian invaders in combat clashes. Today, the total losses of the Russian army personnel in the war amount to 561,400. Not only did the defenders neutralize the invaders, but they also strategically destroyed 203 pieces of their military equipment and weapons. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine announced this data on July 16th. The day before, our soldiers burned 44 artillery systems, 36 armed combat vehicles, and 13 tanks. Our defenders shot down 45 Russian operational and tactical drones. On the ground, they destroyed 57 units of automotive vehicles and tankers, and 8 units of special equipment. Since the beginning of the full-scale war, the Defense Forces have neutralized 2,398 cruise missiles, 1,119 MLRS, 892 air defense systems, 361 aircraft, 326 helicopters, 28 ships and boats, and a submarine of the Russian Armed Forces. Throughout July 15th, 110 combat engagements between defense forces and Russian invaders occurred at the front, with the hottest situation remaining in the Pokrov sector. According to the General Staff, during the day, the enemy carried out 63 airstrikes on the territory of Ukraine, used 373 kamikaze drones to attack, and fired 3,101 times at the positions of our troops and populated areas. The United States does not allow the Ukrainian Armed Forces to strike deep into Russia with long-range ATACMS systems, including military airfields, to prevent the war from spreading beyond Ukraine. Pentagon spokesman Pat Ryder said this in an interview with Voice of America. He emphasized that the United States has recently authorized the use of US munitions to strike Russian territory along the border in response to Russian attacks and threats. According to the Pentagon spokesperson, Washington wants to avoid unintended consequences and escalation that could turn this conflict into a broader one that goes beyond Ukraine. Simultaneously, he reaffirmed that the United States will persist in collaborating with Ukraine, ensuring that it is fully equipped to defend its sovereign territory and its people. At the same time, Ryder refused to answer questions about the timing of the deployment of Patriot air defense systems promised by President Joe Biden. These systems will be deployed in Ukraine to create an integrated air defense network. Regarding the F-16 due to arrive in Ukraine this summer, Ryder noted that this is a high-tech system that requires specialized training not only in flying, but also in maintenance and support. To strengthen Ukraine's air force, the Ramstein coalition is working very hard with Denmark, the Netherlands, and the United States to provide training not only for Ukrainian pilots, but also for technicians, as well as on maintenance of the aircraft and how best to operate them in the hazards that Ukrainian pilots may face, the spokesman said. The United States have discussed with Ukraine the possibility of involving representatives of the aggressor country, Russia, in the second peace summit, preparations for which are already underway. Washington has assured that it will support Kyiv if it makes such a decision. U.S. State Department spokesman Matthew Miller stated this. According to him, this issue was discussed at the NATO summit in Washington last week. Miller reiterated that Ukraine alone will make all decisions regarding possible negotiations with representatives of the aggressor country. Washington has no influence on Kyiv in this matter. He also reminded that the United States will support diplomacy when Ukraine is ready. However, Russia still needs to demonstrate its readiness for such diplomacy. Russian dictator Vladimir Putin is trying to undermine Ukraine's efforts to gain international support for its negotiation position. To do so, the Kremlin leader set conditions that would mean Ukraine's surrender. Moreover, the vast majority of Ukrainians rejected Putin's statement that Ukraine should cede the occupied territories to the aggressor. This is stated in the analysis of the Institute for the Study of War. In a recent poll, the majority of Ukrainian citizens expressed their indignation at the Kremlin's demands to end the war, which they deemed utterly unreasonable. The polls showed that the majority of Ukrainians rejected Putin's statement that Ukraine should withdraw from Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, and Zaporizhia regions, including their territories under Ukrainian control. Most Ukrainians also believe that the country should not agree to enshrine a neutral, non-aligned, and non-nuclear status in its constitution. The ISW emphasized that Putin's extremist conditions are tantamount to Ukraine's surrender, which shows that the dictator is still not interested in negotiating in good faith. Putin's presentation of Ukraine's complete surrender as a precondition for peace talks is also part of an attempt to undermine Ukraine's efforts to gain international support for its legitimate negotiating positions based on and supported by international law. At the same time, analysts noted that Russia's attempt to claim Ukraine's refuses to meet reasonable demands are aimed at making the country look like an unreasonable player, even though Ukraine's legal borders have been recognized by international law since 1991. That's all for now. Stay tuned for more news and opinions at 1+1 News. Have a peaceful day.